Welcome to the 3Gen podcast. We are three generations of
Life.
Love,
and legacy.
and we're hoping to foster meaningful conversations that bridge generational gaps, sharing diverse perspectives and experiences to promote understanding, empathy, and connections across different age groups.
We are three generations of life.
Love,
And legacy.
welcome back to the 3Gen podcast. We're so glad you decided to join us again. We are the 3Gen podcast. I'm Pearl.
Miss Al.
And I'm Raven.
So let's get it past pledging because you kind of talked about elitism a little bit. Let's talk about even as adults
Yeah.
how we put our kids in different organizations because we feel that it's a different crowd, or it's the kids that our parents are pushing them to be successful or pushing them to go to college, or different affiliations, or all the doctors' wives and lawyers' wives and the people of influence
Mhm.
are a member of this organization. So you
Right.
want to be a part of, especially in these small towns. And it's not just in small towns because these organizations are everywhere.
They're everywhere.
And so is that right or is that wrong? Or is it back to again who you are and what's your purpose?
I think it's for the right reason because a lot of times those organizations do a lot. They do offer scholarships. They do a lot of public service. And everybody wants the best for their kids. And if it's
Mhm.
not hurting anybody, and it's I think it's a good thing.
I do too. I think that well, Raven, let me ask you first because I asked the question, so I didn't give you an opportunity to answer. I do apologize.
No,
You know,
go ahead. You
I
in the
get
middle
caught
of
up with
talking. Go
this.
ahead. I know. Go.
So I feel your why always has to be important. Is your why just because you want to say that you're a part of this organization, or you want to say you're affiliated with said people, or is it genuinely because you want the exposure for your child? You know, they do college tours. You know, they're going to teach them how to speak publicly. You know, they're going to learn um, table etiquette and courtesy, and you know. So is it for those reasons, or even if it's not the kids involved, are you doing it because you know this organization truly invests back in the community, and not just in this community, in communities all over the world, and this their purpose or their vision aligns with mine? Or I'm at an age now where I'm an empty nester and this is a good social group for me, that I like that they travel, or I like that they go places, or I like that they do things. Should I be looked at differently because all of them are at a certain status?
No.
I don't believe so. I don't think that I feel once you become an adult, the organizations you choose to join, the company you choose to keep is up to you.
And it should be reflective of you.
It should be reflective of you.
Right.
That is true. And if you're doing it for the right reasons, I don't think that it should matter if someone has a problem with it. If you know the stature of what you want to be at, the people that you want to be around, or just the enjoyment and fulfillment of life that you want and deserve, go get it. Now, I do have a problem. No, not a problem. Let me not say a problem. But I do think that putting your child, taking them out of their natural environment to try and get them adjusted to European culture, it's just always been weird to me, and I don't think it's needed. I think that you can adapt in any situation. I think that there are a lot of opportunities, but you can find similar opportunities, just maybe with more. You will have to search more. You would have to, do a bit more due diligence, but the same opportunities can be provided to you in your area, in your neighborhood. And I think that a child should be able to thrive in any situation if you provide them and equip them. I don't think that you should have to take them out of their environment to do
I
that.
think sometimes you do.
I think sometimes you do.
I mean, you
And
have to
I think
set
it's a
them up
good
for
thing
success.
too.
I think
Kids
you.
are adjustable.
Because the reason why I don't think so is because you're putting them majority of the time, and mom, you can attest to this because you've even told me about, you growing up and going to different schools and everything, and some of the challenges that you faced. I mean, seriously,
Yeah.
some of the challenges that you faced.
Mhm.
And I feel like that kind of shapes you as well. Being You're taking me out of a situation trying to better me, but then you're putting me in a situation where I'm always overlooked, discredited, judged, mocked, ridiculed. I mean, how do you
I
think
agree
that
with
that
that.
That's
shapes your
not
child?
always the case, though.
Majority
So
of the
I
time.
agree with that. I think that you need balance.
Hmm.
And I think that it has to be in the middle of the road. I think that there's nothing wrong with if you're able to do better and make your situation and put your child in a space to succeed. But I also think, like you said, you've got to look at the pros and the cons, and you don't want far extreme right or left. You have to be able to say a balance. And even if I'm going to take my child out of public school and send them to private school, that means some extracurricular activities got to be with people that look like them, or that means that we've got to stay balanced. That means that we have to not just do those things, we have to make a valid effort to do other things as well. Now, I'm going to say, like you say, I went to private schools most of my life, and at my private middle school, there was no one there that looked like me but my uncle and myself. As we got older, two other little boys came that looked like us, but we dealt with a lot of racial jokes. I think we were accepted because both of us was really athletic, and we were the star of the basketball team and the volleyball teams and the baseball teams. But when those things were not in season, we weren't the popular kids. So, and I think that um it changed the trajectory of some things. I
Hmm.
think that it was a valid education. I think that I have some pros and cons from the experience, but I don't think that it was a bad thing. I do feel that if I had stayed in the school that I was in before I went there was a different trajectory that was going to happen there that wouldn't have turned out for the good as well. So I do feel like I needed to be moved from that environment, because the thing about it is we can be our own worst enemies. And it's like either when you're kind of in the middle of the road, and we were a middle class family, and when I went to a neighborhood public school, I got ridiculed because I had hair. I got ridiculed because I was light skinned. I got ridiculed because I had nice clothes. And I went to a school that was not in a nice neighborhood. So then you find yourself as a child, and your child mentality, giving away your clothes to make people like you, or doing things and acting up or acting out or being bad just so that you can stop being ridiculed, because kids are mean.
Hmm.
So then you get pulled from that environment, because now you're just getting in trouble, getting in trouble, getting in trouble. And you get taken to another far extreme environment where it's like, where they come from Mars. So nobody looks like them, or no. And so now you got to figure out another way of how you going to fit in, or how you going to and learn and succeed and do all this stuff at the same time. That's a lot of pressure to put on a kid.
It
I
is.
always look at people, and I have a friend that we talk about this all the time. All nationalities, people that send their kids to a predominantly white school, and they're the only black kid, it's got to be balanced.
Hmm.
Even white kids that will send their first child to a predominantly black school,
It's
it's
no
got to be
balance.
balanced.
Yeah.
It has to be balanced in the middle of the road. And I think that's why they did segregation and desegregation, because it needs diversity. There has to be a balance.
And I
And
just
God didn't
think
intend for it to be separate, I don't think.
I don't think he intended for it to be separate, but also I just don't like the notion of better. Better because it's a predominantly white school. Better because they're gonna have better opportunities. Or I
No, they
feel,
bad as hell too.
yeah, and I feel as though
And it's different
I,
type of trouble that they get
exactly,
into. Yeah.
exactly. So it just wouldn't be my preference. You know,
Mm-hmm.
I don't have children, but if I had, I wouldn't do that. But you know, to each his own.
But you just have to, like I say, get in the middle of the road. You have to, for one, to make things better, you got to be a part of the change.
I believe that.
So you can't just want to drop them off to school and never go to the PTAs, never participate in this. When your children, you have school age children, you got to be visible, you got to be present. I even say that in healthcare, and this is for grown people. If you just drop your people off, you got to come in and be an advocate. You've got to come in and participate and be hands on and let them know that you care, that y'all read too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, Granny, you're pretty quiet on the subject. Since you were the one, who sent her to these private schools, what was your mindset in thinking that I want my child to be a part of this type of environment? Did you think that it was a better education? Did you feel as though you were setting her up for more success?
A little of all of the above. I sent her to a Christian school, which I researched because I wanted her to know the biblical points. I gave her karate because I want her to be able to kick some ass if she had to. I gave her music because that is a universal thing. And sending her to public school was a problem for me.
Mm-hmm.
I never liked, and I hate to say it, I never liked public school. The teachers act like kids.
Mm-hmm.
And if they knew you, it's like some of them, they take it out on your kid.
Mm-hmm.
And they just weren't as invested as I thought they should be. Now, she was good in basketball, like she said, but she had some other little things too. And I knew she could learn. I knew she was a fast learner.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas my little brother, he did a lot better in that private school. And he chose not to come back to public school because all he did was fight every day. Mm-hmm. He was a taller kid, and it seemed like everybody wanted to try him. And not knowing until they realized that he knew karate, that's when they kind of backed off. See? But she wasn't as forceful with her karate as he was. And he was also good with basketball. But that was my mentality. I tried to put them in a well-rounded situation. And when she got to, I guess, 10th grade, 9th grade, or whatever, she said, I don't want to do it anymore. And I listened to her. And I sought out another school that was more mixed. And that's where she went. But it was not, I just didn't throw her somewhere.
It still wasn't really a public school.
And it wasn't a public school. It
Mhm.
wasn't. And you had,
So do you have, that was for your child or that situation. Do you have an angst against public education, or do you feel that, some things can be improved on that end?
In a sense, I'm ghetto.
Mm.
And I know how it could be. Now, I work nights, and a couple times they get put off the bus because another student said they can't ride. Now, I'm not sending you to music. I'm not sending you to karate. I'm not sending you to school to cut the food. I went, and this is the truth. Mm-hmm. And I've done it a couple of times. Coming back home, what are you doing here? Sally Sue said I couldn't ride the bus, so she put us off. Well, who is she? She live over there. Can you beat her? Yes. Well, why you don't have put yours? Well, it's 3 of them. I get up out my bed. I go to the school. I meet the school bus there. Mm-hmm. When Sally Sue got off the bus, I said, Sally Sue, why did you put them off the bus? Well, I said they can't ride. I said, can you fight? Yeah. I let them fight it out. Here come the principal. I first reported it to the principal. I reported it. I went to the principal. Well, Miss Mathis, I'll look into it. 3 days straight.
Mm-hmm.
We got to the bus stop. The bus got off. When Sally got off the bus, I said, all right, everybody get back. We got to solve. Did I not do that?
You did.
I said, we got to solve this problem. They went at it. I said, one at a time. Because I don't invest my money in karate. And they went at it. And I ain't had no more problem out of Sally Sue ass from that day to this one. They turned out to be the best of friends, the whole family, when we got through kicking ass. And the principal like, Miss Mathis, I just don't believe you done. I gave you a chance to straighten it out. You couldn't do it. So I come to do it. Because I'm not working all night to take somebody to school when the bus come right in front of my door. I never had that problem anymore.
Okay.
Now, another little scenario. One of the European lady, we were at a little concert the kids were having at Christmas. She says, which one is your kid? And I know she was being funny. I said, that one. She said, which one? I said, that one. You can't tell the difference between the white kids and the black kids. I just said that one. She got tired of asking me. Till she came over. She said, oh, her. Don't play with me.
Okay.
So this was like, if I'm gonna be honest now, and she's telling the truth, all of that happened. She was very radical. They were very pro-black. They were my grandmother. They didn't have a lot of good experiences. And we will be at home, and you sent us to a predominantly white school, all white school. It wasn't predominantly white. We was on to black. But you didn't really want us to befriend the kids. We couldn't go to their house. We couldn't do sleepovers. We couldn't. So it's like, these are my friends. I'm in 6th, 7th grade. These are who you send me to school with every day. These are my friends. But then when it was like, oh no, we don't do that. No, we ain't doing that.
I didn't want you to get me. I want you to keep that line. Know who you are. Do what you do.
Because but these are her peers. But that was
my environment.
You go there to learn, and after them 6 hours or whatever, you're out of there.
See, you can't do that.
I did it.
She did it.
I did it. Now, whereas my brother, he chose to stay in private school till he graduated from high school.
But that changed the trajectory for him too.
It did.
Because even though he didn't really choose to stay into thing, he got out, but he got kicked out of public school and had to go back to private school because that built a rage up in him.
Mm-hmm.
He got tired of being called the N-word. Every time the people would come to work at the school, they'll be like, there go his people. They, by name, they go so-and-so people. They go so-and-so people. And I think that just really balled up inside of him. And he just started kicking ass and taking names. And it just never stopped.
And Miss L, I have to ask you.
It never stopped. He became a bully after that.
Yeah, I know. But I have to ask you, do you think that your reaction was because of it being a public school? You knew that you can go down there and cut that type of fool? Because
go down where?
To the school and just say be so-and-so. So when
she did it at private school too.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, it wasn't just because it was a public school.
Wherever you drop and you get wrong, I'm there to straighten it.
Yeah, she did. She did it at the private school too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
They told me one day, we don't like the car you drive. The kids, the 2 kids, we don't like the car you drive. Everybody driving nice car. I'm trying to send you to school. But you know what I did? I went and got a brand new car.
Mm-hmm.
So that we could ride up and grab. I don't need no problems.
Well, that was nice.
Yeah,
I thought you was about to say you made them walk.
No. I carried them to school every day.
Mm-hmm.
And now, they ain't have no bus there, but she wouldn't take us to the public school.
Oh,
we had no bus to and it was way out the way.
Yeah, I did my due diligence.
Yeah, we did.
Like I said, I know how the fighting system go, and I know what gives and what doesn't give.
Mm-hmm.
But to me, the teachers just act like kids.
I mean, to each his own. You have to do what you feel is best for your household, your child. Like I said, that wouldn't be my preference. And I do feel like a child can go and grow in any environment. I think that it really just depends on you, the parent, to kind of step in and teach them.
I think this teaching does start at home, and children can grow and thrive, but the environment does matter. I do not feel that is any environment. I think that you put your kids in harm's way, or either you put them in an area where they can succeed and grow. But every environment is not nurture. All soil is not fruitful. So you have to apply it, you have to tend to it, you get out what you put in, you reap what you put in. So I think that you put your children in the situation you feel that they can best strive in to the best of your ability. I think that once they become of a certain age and you've instilled in them who they are and whose they are, then maybe they have the skills. But from starting off, they don't have the skills
It's up to me.
to. Yeah, they're totally relying on the
I
parent.
agree, and I know that it's up to you, and that's why I mean the parent has to set the tone. But I don't think the tone should be, let me get you out of this environment and move you to better, because then the trajectory of their
I
life
never
is
said
always
better.
gonna be.
I never said better.
Well, you didn't say better, but a lot of people think and say better. I want to put them in a better situation. I want to put them in a better school, a better
Well, there are
environment.
better schools. Some schools are F schools, some schools are A schools. It's reality. There are better schools. Some education is subpar. It's unfortunate, and it shouldn't be like that. But because I don't want to say that it's better, I'm gonna stay at the F school. I'm gonna stay at the school that where all the foolishness going on. No, if I see that you're at an F school, or if I don't like the teachers, or if I feel like they're not setting you up to succeed, then we got to move on. And that don't necessarily mean I'm going to take you over here where nobody looks like you, but it does mean that I'm getting ready to do some research to find me a school, because I want to set you, I am getting ready to put you in a program. I'll never forget, even when you were in high school, I went and talked to your counselor about dual enrollment, and this, you know how long ago that's been, and now everybody doing dual enrollment. But I was like, she was like, oh no, we don't do that. Our kids don't participate in that. Why not?
Why not?
And now they do. And because it became the popular thing or whatever, but look how many years ago that was.
Yeah.
And even when you were in, I think when you first went to Europe, one of your teachers said, "I don't think she's ready for that." What? You remember when you went for the summer with your cousin?
I do.
And the teacher said, "I don't think she's ready for that." What are you talking about?
That's not for you to decide.
What are you talking about?
Yeah. I mean,
And this is an experience you never forgot.
I haven't. It started my love
What
for
if
travel.
What if she would have listened to the teacher? But the teacher said she don't think she's ready.
You got to be able to advocate and make your own decisions and see what's. So sometimes it does cause for you to try to affiliate. They say if you're the smartest person in the room, you're in the wrong
You're in
room.
the wrong room.
Yeah.
If you're in an environment where you can't grow, you're in the wrong environment. So rather, you want to be with like-minded people, equally yoked people. So whether that means that you're doing classism or you train that you be with elite, but I think your mindset, it's not that when you get over there, you've arrived, you've gone over there to grow. You're going over there to contribute. You join this organization or this particular club or this society thing because you have something to contribute, or because they're like-minded people,
Right.
not because you think they better than someone else. You can never
Bring
think that
value,
you're better.
don't gain value.
Right. You bring value, and it's never to the point where you can't reach down and help somebody else. It's always got to be the mentality that when one of us succeed, all of us need to succeed. Everybody grows. Everybody, and even in the school systems, when it's an F school, all the educators in that school should be doing everything they can to change the trajectory of that.
Right.
We became in an era too, and I think it's gotten so much better, and I am so grateful for it. But at some point, even when I was in school, when I first came out of school, if you couldn't get a job, it was like, I go teach.
That hasn't changed.
I think it has. I think some people generally go to school and want to be in the school system. Now everybody in the school system seems like they want their doctorate degree, or they're trying to get out of the classroom. They want to be in administration, or they want to be a coach, or they want to be a this, they want to be a that. But at least they're striving for better, not as a backup plan or,
Yeah.
I remember when I first got out of school, I had a biology degree. I wanted to go to medical school. I was getting ready to go to nursing school, this, that, and the other. So I was like, okay, until I wasn't a bit more interested in teaching. That's the worst job I ever had in my life.
Sure won't get me in there.
Yeah, that was horrible. But the students wasn't the bad part of it, believe it or not. The parents were the worst part of teaching for me.
Well, little
I
boy
can't
said, "Don't your
believe it,
grandmama
boy."
have a storehouse?"
Yeah, the parents were the worst part of teaching for me, So, but
I can't believe it. Bringing your child up there to get off the bus and fight. That's horrible.
Who? You thought so? I solved the problem. I got things straight.
yeah, that was the end of
Well,
And the little girl was just acting out. Her mother had passed, and she was just acting out.
I can believe it. Most children react off being
Well, we had to get
acting
her
out.
straight. You got the wrong one.
On that note, we're gonna wrap up.
We don't have to. A lot of things you can solve yourself.
I think that, okay, with wrapping up, we say that there's nothing wrong with being a part of organizations,
Mm-hmm.
be it Greek or non-Greek, be it social clubs, national organizations, local organizations. Just know who you are and whose you are. That's the important part. Know whose you are.
Whose you are. That's very true.
Yeah.
And nothing wrong with public schools. Now, don't get me wrong. I just don't like them.
I think that we have to invest in the public school system because the reality is that's where the majority of our kids are going to go. So I
Yes.
don't think we can
And
give up on the public school system.
I won't give up on them. But for me, even with you, Raven, and I got one more story. I'm a good storyteller.
Tell it real quick. Come on, let me have it.
But Raven had an operation on her back.
Mhm.
She wasn't supposed to carry books.
I have scoliosis.
Scoliosis, okay. And she told the teachers her stepfather got off the road because Ursula was at work. She couldn't leave. Her stepfather got off the road, went to the school, and explained the situation. She can't carry books, so she has to go to her locker every day to get one book for whatever class. Okay. That same day, she's trying to struggle. She can't get in her locker because it's locked. So they're supposed to change the locker. The little gym teacher, they don't pay me to change locks. I called him. I said, "Sir, can you please get someone to change that lock so she can get in and out?" He looks at her and said, "Oh, so you call your grandma, huh? See where they get changed." I called the school district.
The superintendent.
And I called the superintendent. The first time I called, they said, "Oh, he's not here." The second time I called, I asked for the principal of that school. "Oh, he's in a meeting." Make a long story short, around 3 o'clock, I called the school. "He's gone home." I called the school superintendent. Miss Ryan got the head person. She said, "Repeat that story to me." She said, "Did they say he gone home?" She said, "He don't have a job tomorrow if he left that school." I said, "Well, that's what I just got." When that lady called and he was there, that principal called me, "Miss Matthew, I'm so sorry. They went and changed that lock immediately." That's why I don't like public schools. They play too many games. And then the guy said, "Why did you go that high?" I done called the school 5 times. One man said and the superintendent made the coach change the lock. He said he not paid to change lock. She made him change that lock. Change this lock for this young lady, or find yourself another job. Now, I liked her.
I bet you did.
I liked her.
I bet
And
you
I told
did.
my son-in-law, and I told Ursula, I said, "Let me handle this. I got this." And I handled it that day. By 4 o'clock, I got several phone calls. You
But
shouldn't
I
have to
don't
go
think
through
that's
all that.
reflective because it was a public school.
It's a public school
Again,
messing
like
with.
I said,
If public
these
school,
schools, these organizations are ran by people and they are flawed. But they
Lie.
flawed
He's
people
not
at
here.
private
He's
schools.
in a meeting.
There's flawed people at public schools.
But you got that lock changed.
You got the lock
And
change.
then I told her, "Tell him do not look at her and do not say anything to her when she walked past him," because he had made a couple of comments. "Oh, so you got your grandmama involved. You got your daddy. Well, see how that lock get changed." And I told her, "Make sure you tell him." And did he say anything to you for that day to this one?
No.
All right, then.
He gave me mean looks though.
That's all right. They ain't never killed nobody, but he dare not say anything.
Yeah.
Thank you all for joining. Know who you are and whose you are.
That's right. And take care of your business. Advocate for your kids.
That you have to. Private school to public school, always be an advocate for your children and for yourself.
Let them know who you are.
Well, thank you all. Make sure you comment, like, and subscribe. We really appreciate the support, and we want to hear your thoughts. Put your comments below.
Ta-ta.
Peace.